So with all the content on the internet about minimalism, it can get really confusing. I remember when I first started looking into minimalism, it was difficult to know how to get started without getting overwhelmed. So in this video, I wanted to take you through 5 simple tips that will help you get started with minimalism, get your journey off to a good start without overcomplicating things. So the first tip I would suggest is to not get fixated on the minimalist mindset just yet. I've been guilty of this in the past in terms of not starting something until I feel I'm ready, until I feel like mentally or information and knowledge wise I've got a proper handle on it. I've gotten focused on a subject where I've read lots of books, done a lot of research online, but I've not actually done anything to get started on the thing that I want to do. And that's where we can get stuck with minimalism, I think, is watch endless content on YouTube, read books, read blog posts, but not do anything about it. So we get into this cycle of getting stuck in the research phase, trying to get into that minimalist mindset, thinking like we think a minimalist will think, when what we need to do, in my opinion, is the next tip, which is to take action. And like with a lot of things in life, I think we fall in the trap of thinking that in order to take action and do something, we not only need to have all of the knowledge available, but we need to feel motivated to do something about it. And I used to think this myself. I used to think, especially when it came to things like exercise, I had to feel motivated in order to do it. Otherwise, that was a sign that I wasn't ready. But over the years, I've found that the opposite is actually true, where even if I don't feel like doing it, if I take action, often what happens is that kind of triggers the momentum and builds the momentum for me to keep doing the thing that I want to do. And by taking action, we learn what works for us, we learn what doesn't work. We're bound to make some mistakes along the way, and that's okay. So what I found is more helpful when it came to my own journey with minimalism is to start taking small steps. One of the best books I read on this is James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. That was a revelation to me in the fact that it told me that I didn't need to dive in and do everything at once. I could take things a chunk at a time. I'm a very all or nothing person, so if I'm faced with a big project, I kind of used to feel that I had to do it all at once rather than breaking it down and doing a bit at a time. So for example, with something like decluttering, don't feel that you have to do all of the house all in one go. You can do different rooms, or you could do different sections of different rooms. Maybe make a list. Think about what rooms you want to do and what areas of the room you want to do. So every time you do one of those small steps, you can tick it off and you can feel that sense of accomplishment. And in this process, I would try not to get caught up in the things you're unsure of decluttering. Focus on the things that you're quite comfortable to get rid of, whether that is giving them to charity, selling them, or putting them in the bin if they are really that bad quality, or they're just worn out. Because the easy things, the things that we feel comfortable to declutter, they're low-hanging fruit. And the more of those you can get rid of, you can feel like you're getting into that momentum of decluttering. The items that you're unsure of, put them to one side and you can come back to them at a later date to have more of a think about them. The next tip is to learn from others. So there are lots of channels here on YouTube talking about minimalism, tips on how to declutter faster, how to be more minimalist in your thinking. But a word of warning, don't feel that you have to do things the way that your favorite YouTubers do them. Take what is relevant to you at that moment in time and do that. In fact, at whatever stage of minimalism you're at, by all means watch your favorite creators, but just because they're doing something you're not, it doesn't mean to say that you should do it or that you have to do it. It might be that that's just their way of doing it. We can learn a lot from each other, but we don't have to do exactly the same thing because we're all in different situations. We come from different walks of life. We deal with things differently. Our minimalist journeys will be unique to us. But as you move along your minimalist journey, there may be things that you want to try that perhaps you weren't comfortable to try right at the beginning, and that's fine, because again, that's where the learning and the growth comes from. Equally, some minimalists are more extreme in their approach than others. I get a lot from watching those type of minimalists because I have no intention of being extreme, but I still get some really good ideas from those minimalists, just in terms of thinking about, well, do I really need this thing that I'm hanging on to, or could I actually get rid of it? If this person can do it, can I do it? Is that right for me? So don't discount YouTubers who might be doing things differently from you, perhaps more extreme than you're comfortable with, because there's nothing to say that you need to go as extreme as other people, but there is still the potential for you to learn some valuable lessons. And the next tip to get you started with minimalism is to declutter. Now, decluttering isn't the only aspect of minimalism, but it is quite a big part of it. And the reason it's a good way to get started with minimalism is that you can learn such a lot about yourself and your relationship with your belongings, and even what your spending triggers are. So what causes you to keep buying things that perhaps you don't really need. And so if you want some tips on getting started with decluttering, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.